Hey everyone, Blind Manor here. Today I want to talk about Small Things Like This by Claire Keegan. Bill Furlong is a coal and timber merchant who lived in Euros Island. He came from nothing as his mother, who was pregnant at 16, was thrown out of her house. It is only with the kindness of a widow named Mrs. Wilson that he and her mother survived. Mrs. Wilson took her in, gave her a job, took her to the hospital to give birth, and helped raise Furlong, teaching him how to read and give him little jobs to do. Furlong lost his mother at a young age and never found out who his father is. But he looks forward to the future, and as he grew up, he married Aileen with Mrs. Wilson's help. He had 5 girls, all grew up healthy, and while it was 1985 and Ireland are struggling with the youth emigrating to London and Boston to find jobs, Furlong had enough to at least put his girl to school. As he grew up, Mrs. Wilson, who had no children of her own, took him under her wing, gave him little jobs, and helped him along with his reading. She had a small library and didn't seem to care much for what judgment others passed, but carried temperately along with her own life. And that all changed when, one day during a delivery to a church, he accidentally saw the inside of the Catholic Church and found the girls that's been used as labor there. This is inspired by the true story of Magdalene Laundries, where over 10,000 girls and women that the church considered unfit for society was mentally and physically tortured and worked as slave labor in the church ground. He found the girls malnourished, dirty, overworked, and lacking work despite it being winter. One of the girls cried for help, but before he can make a decision, a nun came and herded him out of the church. Now he had to make a decision between his girls and the girls imprisoned at the church. He had to ask himself if he had not turned into a man consigned to doorways, or he did not spend the best part of his life standing outside of one or another, waiting for them to be opened. And that is the story of this short book. The writing is amazing. It's either there is actually a cadence in some part of the story or I am losing my mind. But either way, it makes the writing sounds musical. It's such a unique reading experience, you might need to get used to it a little bit, but when you do, this makes for an amazing storytelling. It feels like a story told through poetry. It helps that every word in the book feels like it where it's belong. There is no missing puzzle and no crack in the storytelling. And what story it is? It starts very simple, as the title of the book suggests, small things like this, worrying over them, getting sad because of them, getting happiness and contentment from them. Those small little things. But the way the story is told is like handing over something precious and fragile. It is so tender, wholesome, and can be deeply heartbreaking. To each was given days and chances which wouldn't come back around. And wasn't it sweet to be where you were and let it remind you of the past for once? Despite the upset, instead of always looking on into the mechanics of the days and the trouble ahead, which might never come. And then the book makes a shift as it highlighted the Magdalene Asylum that have caused so much death and suffering in real life. The story then asks, what does it take for someone to choose to help? Even if it doesn't fix the entire problem, even if it didn't put a dent to the overall problem with huge possible consequences on the line, but even if it's just 1 or 2%, what does it take for you to make a difference, even to small things like this? It's such a great story and I highly recommend it. That's about it.